Hello everybody and welcome to the LCS Challengers League presented by Subway. If you're just joining us from the LCS, buckle in and stay tuned because we have two best of 3 series of quality League of Legends that have a ton of implications for the playoffs and the promotion tournament leading ahead. My name is Grapes. I'm joining from the NACL qualifier, so welcome. It's a pleasure to be here, and joining me is Beat Down Boulevard, the legend himself. Beat, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Happy to be back on the mic with you, Grapes. And I just want to quickly say, bro, don't feel bad. Welcome yourself. Say it right now. Say welcome, Grapes, to the NACL, because you deserve it, bro.
It's good to be back. I've been guesting here before, but here for 2024, we got some fearless drafts. We have some really talented teams, collegiate going crazy as well with Maryville jumping up to 8-1.
Yeah.
Super excited about them, and also some of the teams that we have here today. We have kind of two different best of 3s. One of them with the promotion tournament having huge stakes, and the other one a battle for first place kind of at stake. Let's take a look at our schedule for today. We're going to be kicking things off with LiT Esports up against Team Liquid Honda Challengers, followed by FlyQuest Challengers playing against Supernova in their last series of the regular season.
That's right. We got it all today, Grapes. We have two teams trying to fight to avoid that promotion tournament that you were just talking about. And, of course, you have FlyQuest looking to take their first place seed back, and Supernova, our third place team, trying to punch up and do what no one else has been able to do this split, and that is try to topple FlyQuest Challengers, who have just been stellar since day one.
Yeah, FlyQuest have been super dominant, 7-0 right now in series record. However, their place in first place just hangs in the balance a little bit here, Beat, as we pull up our standings. Maryville University jumping up to 8-1, and in a situation where Supernova finishes with a 2-0 over FlyQuest today, that's Maryville in the top spot.
Hey, listen, man, I know I'm trying to set Supernova up for the, maybe the big upset, but that's a really tough ask. Not only winning the series, but doing so 2-0. But, of course, there is that opportunity, as you said, for Supernova to knock FlyQuest down a peg or two. And, of course, down at the bottom of the standings, LiT, TLC, two teams who are trying to avoid 9th place. Of course, Mirage Alliance, they're locked in, so it's really that second team that we're sending to the promotion tournament that matters. And I mean, just to keep it simple for you guys, if LiT lose, they are 9th place, that's locked, and we have our bottom two teams. If LiT win, they're safe, and then it basically becomes a battle between TLC and DSG, depending on how DSG series tomorrow goes against AoE. So, some implications, some scenarios. The Foldy sheet is definitely crazy and something to keep an eye out on, and yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah, I guess we could just dive in to that first series that we have on the docket with LiT Esports up against Team Liquid Challengers, because we're either going to see something that we haven't seen before, which is an LCS affiliated team or an LCS second tier team getting sent down to the promotion tournament, or we're going to see a situation where the two teams that just promoted into the NACL this previous split are headed right back down to that promotion tournament. And I gotta say, Beat, as somebody who's been covering the qualifiers down in tier 3 for the last couple of months, we have some very, very dangerous challengers, and I know that a team like LiT are running back the same roster that just promoted into the NACL, but they're going to have a tough time getting through some of our Tier 3 giants.
100%. I've heard some good things going on in the qualifiers, but since we're talking about our league as a whole, we're going to take a moment and actually throw it to our format video just to give you guys another idea of what this league is and how everything works out. So we'll be right back.
Welcome to the 2024 Spring Split of the LCS Challengers League. This spring will feature 10 teams competing in a single round-robin best-of-3 format, and for the first time ever, we'll be implementing Fearless Drafts. If you're not familiar, Fearless Draft adds a new twist to pick and ban. Once a champion is picked by a team in the series, it cannot be picked by them again. So if Team A drafts Teemo in Game 1, they cannot play Teemo for the rest of the series. Team B could pick Teemo in Game 2, but then wouldn't be able to play him in Game 3. And like LCS, all games will be played on the live patch, so you can take what you see from the games and try them out on your own. The top 8 teams from our regular season advance to the NACL playoffs, which will feature a double elimination bracket with a mix of best of 3 and best of 5 matches. Alongside the NACL are 2 qualifier tournaments, which will also feature Fearless Drafts on the live patch. The bottom 2 teams from the NACL regular season will compete against the top 4 teams from the qualifiers in a promotion tournament, battling in a double elimination bracket to qualify into the NACL in summer 2024. All LCS Challengers League games and coverage will be available on twitch.tv/LCS_Challengers, with matches starting right after the LCS. And as a reminder, with team revenue shares, every sub in Twitch Prime directly supports the teams and players. Another split of Challengers League begins right now, and we can't wait to see you there.
And as we mentioned at the top of the show, this is the final week of the regular season. Right. So only 4 more best of 3s to be played until we figure out who the 8 teams are to move on to our double elimination bracket and which 2 teams go down into that promotion tournament and beat. That is why this series is so important for both of these teams, for LiT and for TLC. Getting a chance even at playoffs, even if it's as a lower seed, definitely anybody's game once you get to that later weeks.
Yeah, and it would be such a big deal. I mean, it would be great for LiT Esports to be able to stay and not have to fight for their chance to come back in summer, especially after their first split. I think we saw some pretty bright spots from this roster and some good moments overall. And there is this moment, too, where it's the first split here. Things are going to be a little shaky, so it would be cool to see them get another chance.
Yeah, we are almost ready to get into draft. We unfortunately are having an issue with the player getting into the tournament realm, so we're working to get into draft as soon as possible, and we'll have that on your screens as soon as we do. But let's start off by talking about this matchup just a little bit more. Starting off with Team Liquid Challengers here, Beat. They were a team with so many different expectations coming into this year. Of course, talent all across the board. You have Jenkins and Keel, who both were just incredible on both CLG Challengers and Wildcard last season. You have Spawn, who played some time in LCS, the one remaining player in Kimdown that was part of TL in 2023, and then Roamer, a new player fresh from the LCK Challengers series. And, it's been a bit of a slow start, but I've liked what we've seen from them over these last couple of weeks. They've really picked up their play. I
mean, it's been a really slow start, Graves. You said it. Expectations were such a big deal for this team. It was them and FlyQuest at the top 2 of almost everybody's tier list. Everyone expected so much from this roster, especially, because of the talent you saw from top to bottom. So much experience with a lot of these players, and even Kimdown, who is a little newer, being someone who we kind of agreed as a broadcast last year was one of, if not the most improved player. But it feels like things were not really jiving with them. You're integrating a new player from LCK Challengers in Roamer, and it really took a lot of time for the wheels to get rolling. And, they better start getting rolling today. Otherwise, again, if they lose the series, no guarantee they stay in top 8.
Yeah, the thing about the new format for this year is because it's just a single round robin, all of a sudden you play 8 series, and you're down to a do-or-die situation right now against LiT Esports. And I know communication has been something that these players have mentioned is something that they've continued to improve on. I think over the last couple of weeks, we've seen better and better looks for them. And even in that series that they had against Maryville University, they were playing very well, especially in the early game, and just unfortunately weren't able to capitalize on some of the really strong laning that we saw from all across the board.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why I think they have a pretty solid chance to get against LiT Esports, who a team, again, it was their first, it's their first split here in LCS Challengers. They had a really hard-fought win to promote. I believe they were actually the first team to promote last summer during that tournament, and it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows, I will say, for LiT Esports, Grace. I mean, you got some pretty solid pieces coming through. Dragoon, a staple in the scene who's been around for quite a number of years now, finally got his shot after qualifying twice last year. Kisno, who started competing last spring for the first time. I think he's the player I'm most excited about on this roster, given how much he has grown in this last year.
Yeah, first of all, I love how Plux is the only person who submitted a photo. You just kind of chilling there alongside some empty heads. But I was actually really excited, Beat, when I got to talk to you about what you were liking about this LiT Esports team. And the first thing you mentioned was Kisno, because this guy has had such a amazing growth trajectory over the last 2 splits. As you mentioned, was on just a qualifier team called CB Gaming in the first tournament, got picked up by Supernova to make it in for the first time alongside Dragoon, and then ever since then, whether he was on LiT in summer and then on LiT here in spring, we've seen more and more, and suddenly this matchup against Keel, who was an MVP candidate last summer, by the way, is suddenly one of the most exciting ones that we have to look at between these 2 teams.
Yeah, agreed. I think Kisno is definitely one of the standouts on this roster. I think he's grown so much as a jungler. I remember the promotion tournament where we were casting Supernova when he was on that roster. I mean, it was pretty clear that He was newer to competitive, straight out of solo queue, as we've seen with a lot of other players who come through these doors. And now this year, I think he's definitely taken to competitive very well. I think a lot of the bright spots that we've seen from LiT Esports are because of the play we've seen from this player. And of course, I got to give some respect to Rockboom as well, who I think has also been pretty standout on this roster. We had a lot of good things to say about him when we saw him play in the summer promotion tournament, but I think he's a player who I think he's honestly a pretty solid later, and when it comes to team fights, that is when this dude really comes alive.
Yeah, I'm going to keep bringing up my qualifiers experience because I watched this team specifically continue to just have really great performances until that promotion tournament where they took it to another gear, taking down Mirage Alliance, actually, who was one of the top teams in that qualifier the entire season. And Rockman was a big part of that. He team fought really well. He was kind of a late season addition to this team and still was able to put up really solid performances, especially in those team fights. And for LiT, running back the same roster is always a bit of a risk. There's always that conversation, oh, do we try to improve our team as we head in? But LiT, they have a full... They fully committed to this group of 5, and they can prove to their ownership, to their managers, that this was the right decision by having a competitive series here and making the playoffs with a win here today.
Yeah, just a reminder, guys, the win here is so important for LiT Esports. If they lose, they will be bottom 2. There's no more chances left for them to actually try and make it to playoffs and avoid the promotion tournament. So this is a big deal for this team. Almost the exact same stakes for Team Liquid Challengers as well, especially with all those expectations weighted upon them. This is going to definitely be a scrapper of a series.
Yeah, I mean, I remember especially at the start of the season, for LiT, we saw some really good things. They had a 2-0 against Wildcard pretty early on, and I thought, oh, that could be a good sign for them to come. Yeah. Unfortunately, they've struggled a little bit since then. They've dropped their last 5 series, now going all the way down to, 2-6 now. So one more win is kind of all they need, but they haven't had that in a while. And so, we're pretty excited to, see what they have against Team Liquid, because it would be such a big showing, and for a team like them who has been struggling recently, this win obviously locks them into playoffs, but also maybe gives them a little bit of motivation before they end up having to play some more League of Legends.
Yeah, 100%, because even if they make it to the top 8, the journey won't end right away. There will be playoffs that will be starting next week, and it's going to be a tough one, because I think TL kind of alluded to it when we started this conversation, Graves. They have been picking things up a little bit. They have been showing small signs of growth, and you said it, their series against Maryville actually was a pretty good series from this team. I think especially, I really liked how Keel was playing the early game, and especially in game 1, they got an insanely huge gold lead that it's kind of insane when you think about how quickly they had lost it. It was one bad team fight into one Baron for Berryville, like truly heartbreaking, and I still think they played out the rest of the series pretty well, and that's against our team who is in second place, who was right up there with FlyQuest Challengers in top 2. So I think LiT definitely have their work cut out for them this series.
Yeah, I mean, when you're able to take Maryville, who has always been known for being such an aggressive team, able to get off to these early leads, and you're able to get the early lead yourself, obviously that's a very good sign, even though you weren't able to close out the rest of the game. But Team Liquid, I think aside from that slight hiccup, which of course is against a team that currently has the most wins in our entire league right now, they've looked pretty solid. And they've played the last few series, they've all ended in wins, and when talking to these players, I think the last 2 interviews that we had were with Keel and with Spawn, they keep expressing their confidence about this group of people, this group of 5, and how their communication has gotten better. And so as we continue to look forward to hopefully them making playoffs and not sitting in the promotion tournament, just continuing to keep making those steps and allowing them as a group, of course affiliated with an LCS team, to show off a little bit. I mean, we've seen Team Liquid Challengers be such a dominant force in this Tier 2 space for so many years. It's interesting to kind of see them towards the bottom of the standings for once.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think all of last year as well, after they had I think it was a year of just like top performance back-to-back championship rosters, I think last year was definitely more of like a rebuild approach, because you have new players coming in, they're taking time to grow. I'm pretty sure in playoffs, going into playoffs last split, Team Liquid weren't even in the top 4. They were a little bit lower in the standings, and then they really started to turn things up. So it could be a very similar approach that we're seeing here today, Graves, or rather just this split as well from Team Liquid Challengers.
Yeah, I think it feels like this team is just about to hit another gear every single time that we watch them. And against LiT, it would be a pretty good opportunity for them to lock themselves in. The problem with being that bottom 2 seed means that you will probably have to match up against either Maryville or FlyQuest Challengers in the first round. But hey,
that's true.
Making the playoffs is better than not making the playoffs, and I don't think they care who they end up playing in that first round, because at the end of the day, if you just #just win, that's all you need.
Yeah, that's definitely the right logic there, Grapes. I like that. And I mean, hey, you take it one day, one series at a time. Playoffs is going to be playoffs is next week's problem. Today's problem is winning this series and avoiding relegation.
Yeah, we have just a few minutes left until we head into draft. Again, we apologize for this delay before getting into the game, but it's going to be an exciting one. We have Fearless Draft once again. All these teams have played a multitude of different champions here, Beatdown. And I mean, we talked about that jungle matchup. Again, we could kind of dive into that a little bit more if you don't mind. I mean, Keel was such a great player for this team for his previous team in Wildcard last year, and moving over, we were curious to see what he was able to do in this newfound opportunity, being affiliated with an LCS team. And as you said, that game against Maryville, he put up some pretty solid performances, and we're hoping to see even more as we continue into the playoffs and beyond.
I mean, something I've always really liked about Keel as a player, as long as I've been watching him, is the fact that he is a very efficient player. A lot of his earlier time in like the tier 2, tier 3 scene is him playing those really heavy farming style junglers. And I mean, an important thing about jungle to me is being efficient. Not just with clear, but being able to find the right timers to make plays happen. Because something he was always able to do, keeps up in farm, he stays ahead in farm, but you'll watch his KP as well, and he is part of things that are happening all across the map. That's why I was one of the people who said, like, hey man, we should give an MVP nod over to Keel, just because he's the kind of player a team definitely wants. He is a very strong voice on the team as well, someone who can definitely take that leadership role, and players on Wildcard last year can attest to this as well. And it feels like he's got pretty much everything he would want in a jungler.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that he's been able to improve on over the last couple of splits is actually like his flexibility in both champion pool and play style. You mentioned the farming champions like the Karthus and the Brand and all those, perma farm into eventually getting 3 items and winning. Then you finally join your team. He's played a lot of like Ivern and Poppy this split. He's also had a Belveth game just a couple of days ago. 19 games that Team Liquid Challengers have played. He's played 13 unique champions. Now it is Fearless Draft, so obviously you are pigeonholed to expand out a little bit. But if you are Keel, that is a pretty good sign. Being able to play a bunch of different champions and not necessarily always be that guy that has to be a carry jungler.
Yeah, and I will say, even last season before we had Fearless Draft here at NACL, he still had his fair share of unique picks, Graves. My personal favorite, the Nunu.
Yeah.
I loved every time he would bring that one out. But yeah, basically, the Fearless definitely didn't hamper his ability in any way and flexibility. And I guess we can just switch it over to Kizno, because I think we'll get into draft really, really soon. Again, newer player. This is his third split in competitive. He started last spring on, I believe, what team did you say? CB?
So yeah, he was on CB Gaming for that first tournament. So and his team did not do very well at all. And then he got picked up, but he was individually a pretty solid performer. And then Supernova needed a jungler because they had Hyper actually go over to fly to NACL, got promoted up there, and so they needed a jungler. They got Kizno, struggled a little bit at first, but then, as you said, has continued to take those steps to now being a very, very solid jungler in this Tier 2 league.
Yeah, 100%. I think Kizno is definitely someone to keep an eye out, because I always love when players, I mean, again, you saw he was basically straight out of solo queue when he had first started. Wasn't really sure what to be doing on the map, but this time around, I think that one has changed a lot. Even when he played on LiT in summer, I was really happy with what I saw from him from split to split, and that's kind of my favorite thing about these Tier 2, Tier 3 leagues. Watching these players grow, watching these players become better, and then eventually, hopefully the dream for a lot of them is that they live the Masu dream, the sniper dream, where you start up in tier 3, and you just climb all the way up the ladder into the LCS.
Yeah, I mean, those players, only 1 year in Tier 2 before now playing on the LCS stage and looking good. There are also other players like Fake God and Zazel who are now on the LCS that have taken their time and have gone all over. I think the biggest thing, that a message that I know you like to say a lot, is that there is no linear path to get into the LCS.
Right.
And so, you know, we kind of have that dichotomy here where Team Liquid have a team full of pretty experienced players, specifically Spawn and Jenkins, who have played in the LCS before. And we also have LiT, who have a bunch of players in their first split of Tier 2. I believe we have draft ready in just a little bit. We're super excited to get into this series. And, you know, just a ton of expectations with that promotion tournament on the line.
Yeah, 100%. And then again, just to remind people, if you're just joining us, we have LiT versus Team Liquid Challengers coming up. And I don't know about you, Grapes, but I saw the preview. It means we're in draft. We're free.
Woo!
We don't have to do our Vlad impressions anymore. And Vamp, we made it.
Oh man, that's a good one. I gotta add that to my repertoire now. We have
I got
LiT
you, though. Don't worry.
on the blue side, Team Liquid Challengers on the red side. All right, away you see a ban of the Kindred. That is one of Kisner's most played champions, and I'm not surprised to see Team Liquid respect that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he hasn't lost when they have picked it. And in such a crucial moment, we don't want to be messing around with players' best champions. You just want to remove them out of the picture. And we're seeing a lot of the usual suspects here on this side too. Kalista, Karma, Senna. I'm wondering if TF will also be that last pick. How did I forget about Ashe? You know, it's not respected in the LCS, but down here in the NACL, we respect good champions.
Yeah, and Ashe is definitely one of them. But same with the qualifiers. That's always hit in the red side in that first phase. We have a Varus locked in first for Rock Boom. That is definitely something that he's pretty familiar on. And an immediate response from TLC of Nautilus and Talia. Talia could flex around a little bit here, Beat.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of options there with the mid and the jungle. And I think Nautilus has just kind of been the premier support these last couple of patches. Yeah, we're not seeing the Senna come through, but there could be that Smolder response instantly on the 3 pick there for the side of TLC, and that's kind of what I'm thinking they're going to go towards.
It would be interesting to be paired alongside a Nautilus, a little bit more of an engaged champion. There's the support counter pick there for Plux. He's going to lock in that Braum. He is pretty well known on that champion. He's played it a lot over his career. Has played many different tournaments in the Tier 3 space, as well as LiT Esports have solidified a pretty solid bot lane for themselves. We're going to round out this first phase. I wonder what they're going to go with. Are they going to try to match a mid laner, or
they could take the Smolder away? Messages has run this in the mid lane previously. They did win. So I kind of like this look coming through there for the side of LiT. It's a pick that they're experienced in playing, and you deny a pick there from Spawn in the bottom lane. So I'm wondering now what else we're going to see. Zeri, something he has locked in before, something in that hyper carry late game damage route, and it's looking like that's locked in.
Hey, I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure Smolder was the last pick that Messages played in a series that LiT Esports won. It was against Wildcard back in week 3 or 4. And so if they just want to get that good juju going, I would not be shocked to just see them block that one into the mid lane. It is a little bit vulnerable depending on what actually ends up getting picked, and I expect to see some mid bans here in the second phase to make sure that Messages is safe.
I think LiT, I think they need to ban Vi immediately. Because if it is going to be that Talia mid, I think that Vi-Talia combo is way too dangerous, especially with the Nautilus, who's likely going to be roaming to try and impact that mid lane. Smolder, you can skirmish a little bit early game, but you want to farm, you want to chill, and you want to build those stacks. So you want to make sure that, kind of like as you said, that he's as safe as possible in the mid lane. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw maybe even a Wukong ban come through, pretty much for that exact same reason.
Yeah, definitely something that can get on to the Smolder and really lock him down. You have 2 immobile AD carries a little bit as well with Rock Boom on the Varus. We see that respect towards Dragoon as well with that Darius being taken away. I feel like it's always something that ends up getting tagged in that second phase or so. We'll see what the last ban is here for LiT. If they're going to try to grab that Wukong, take that Wukong away as you said, or look for another direction.
Yeah, it could be a jungle ban, maybe top lane. If they're worried about something in particular, okay, yeah, so you are playing against Jenkins, so the Kennen is something that they have to consider. And it's just going to leave up the Wukong for kills. Pretty easy pickup there. I think it pairs just as well with the Talia. You have good all-in with the Nautilus, and I'm liking what TLC have so far.
Yeah, they've created a really solid mid jungle that can punish this Smolder mid, and that is probably going to be the most important thing for TL to do in this game, because you saw what happened when LiT got this Smolder mid last time around. Message was able to have a tremendous game, even though they were down like 8,000 or 9,000 gold at some point in that one. We're going to lock in a Rel as well. That's going to go towards Kizno, so giving him a little bit of space in the mid jungle as well, getting another champion that can get on the map early.
Yeah, I'm wondering what it's going to be. Right off the top, like LiT, kind of lacking in the magic damage department. It is going to be easier for the tanks on TLC to just stack a good amount of armor. I don't think you're too worried about, you know, the bit of magic damage that Smolder does, even though he is a hybrid. And I'm curious to see what they're going to go for. It's just going to be a safe blind in the Renekton or Dragoon, something that can get you priority and something that can maybe allow you to play for those early grub spawns.
We got the Gnar in response for Jenkins. We see this matchup time and time again over the years of competitive history in League of Legends.
Yeah.
You know, it could kind of go one way or the other. Some people argue Renekton's favorite, some people argue the Gnar's favorite. Also kind of depends on what patch you're on. I've seen more Renektons than Gnars recently.
Sure.
But you know, that's probably going to be a pretty stable matchup. We have to focus once again on the junglers here, what Keel and Kizno are going to do, especially now that the mid jungle has become such an important part of this game.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Usually what I think immediately when I see Smolder is that, you know, the early game, you just want to stack, you just want to chill, and what can the rest of the team do to get him through that early mid game? I mean, you do have pushing side lanes with this Braum Varus, with this Renekton into the Gnar early on, so there's going to be a lot of opportunities for Kizno to make plays with the rest of his team elsewhere on the map, and the hope is that you can just get to those later stages of the game, because Braum is going to be able to soak up a lot of this damage, Graves, and you have a lot of late game DPS coming through, so that's kind of what you're looking for.
Yeah, Braum going to be able to, with that Unbreakable, you deny a lot out of Spawn and Roamer specifically, and, you know, keeping that backline alive is going to be super important. Of course, you have the double AD carry comp. You have mixed damage with those two champions, so it doesn't matter too much if you're somebody like Keel who stacks a lot of armor on the Wukong. And I'm interested to see how LiT are going to be able to play these team fights out, because it seems like TL have a pretty standard strategy, and LiT maybe have to be a little bit more careful.
They absolutely do, Grapes. Looking at TLC's side, even if they have side lanes that are getting pushed in early on, you still have Roamer on this Talia. There's going to be an opportunity for him to sync up with this Wukong. You're going to be able to do so much more across the map than this Smolder early game, whether it's roam timers, using the Weaver's Wall to get across the map quickly, and try to snowball the game from there.
Well, you're not going to believe it, people. We finally made it into a game. It's LiT versus Team Liquid Challengers. A best of 3 to figure out which team is locked for playoffs and which team has to worry about playing in the promotion tournament in just a few weeks. So much on the line between these two teams.
That's right. You're going to hear me say this a lot throughout the course of this series, guys, but to keep it real simple, LiT lose, they're 9th place. It's Jover. If LiT win, they're safe, and it's between TLC and DSG.
Yeah, and then things get weird. Well, let's wait for LiT to, you know, play competitive first, and then we can get into the nitty-gritty. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There is some weird situations that we might have to talk about eventually. But for now, let's focus on this game itself. We see both junglers starting on their blue side quadrants. Looks like they're going to have LiT maybe focus a little bit more towards that bottom lane.
Yeah, and this makes sense from Keel too. I think on the bottom side is likely where you're going to get a pretty good invade coming through if you want to take away camps from this Wukong, because again, Rock Boom Plucks, you can already see the pressure they have in this bottom lane. It is going to be pushing. It is going to be stacking. And I like that Roamer is taking this opportunity to get that ward down on the Raptors. The vision game for both of these junglers is going to be really important, especially for LiT, who want to keep this early game nice and slow. Nice and relaxed. Chill.
Yeah, you got the Zeri. You just got to make sure it's not too slow that the Smolder hits stacks and starts 1v9ing, but you have tools to get to it as well, specifically with that Wukong Talia combo. We see level 2 getting hit first by LiT's bot lane. Not surprising considering they have the Braum into the Nautilus, but they have to be careful because of the fact that Keel is still in his bottom side quadrant. He could go for a 3 camp down to the bot lane, but it looks like instead going to rotate up, which gives LiT a pretty good opportunity to wreak some more havoc onto this bottom lane.
Yeah, and that's a nice ward. Flux should give the information that Keel is likely going to be on the other side of the map. Kizno is spotted as well, so it's just this kind of handshake. I don't think we're going to really see any big fight come through, but Roamer.
Yeah, got some good damage with the seismic shove onto Messages, who's already running out of mana as well as now being below 200 HP. So Smolder's gonna have to be a little bit careful here. He does have the teleport to get back to lane, but he doesn't want to burn it just yet. So we'll look to see him pop a potion, try to farm out, maybe call for Kizno to come help him out as well. Uh-oh.
Oh!
Another seismic shove.
Oh,
Under
that's
the
it.
tower
He's
they goes. One more auto. That's just first blood for Roamer.
Oh, weird. Just being a little greedy with the flash key there. Messages, that is a brutal one. Teleport is going to be forced out early. Much to Messages' chagrin. Really nicely played by Roamer.
Yeah, man. It was just back-to-back seismic shoves. And into the Unraveled Earth. That's all it takes, especially this early into a game when the Smolder really is not able to push back too hard. That's a pretty bad death if you are LiT Esports, although, you know, the scaling for Smolder is still there, but now this unlocks Roamer, right? He gets another tier. He's able to get some more items and now really operate in this mid-jungle 2v2. Can kind of help Keel go to any lane that he wants, as he'll have priority for the rest of this laning phase.
Yeah, as expected, the junglers haven't really interacted yet. Now that the first clear has gone through, the first back, you're seeing the combat stats come out. Now I'm wondering where we're going to see Keel go, where we're going to see Kizno go, because now they have the opportunity to have more of an impact. I mean, bot lane, you can see on this bot side river, it's warded really nicely there by LiT on top of the Scuttle Crab, kind of recognizing the fact that Rockboom and Plux have this push in pretty much the entire laning phase, and they want to cover all their bases to make sure Keel can't make an unexpected visit.
Yeah, because if they stay pushed in, if they continue to wreak havoc down there, it's going to be good news for them. And that's kind of the one angle and the one lane that they actually can't play around right now. Kizzo's going to be spotted on a ward again, but so will Keel. So everybody kind of has full intel about what the other kind of has planned.
Oh, I like this from Keel. He gets spotted on that first ward up top, but he's going all the way around to try and avoid the wards placed in the bot side river. But again, because he was spotted, he's just going to have to walk away. Isn't going to get anything from it.
Going to start hitting this dragon as well, and with LiT knowing full well that Keel is in the area and Kizno is not, might be a good opportunity, or maybe just a bit of a bait once that ward spots them out. We'll say, we've seen back to mid lane Messages continuing to eat these seismic shoves. Roamer is having a tremendous time in this early lane.
Yeah, it is as expected. The first blood, maybe not expected, but overall, the disadvantage for Messages in this lane was kind of what we predicted. He's just trying to stack, get as much as he can. The early stacks always going to be low because you're kind of waiting for itemization to come through levels, ability haste, in hopes that you can, spam your abilities more. But as long as Messages doesn't bleed anymore in the mid lane, you're not in the worst spot if you're LiT Esports.
Yeah, the problem is just making sure that he doesn't get further and further behind. And, he still has a flash. Say what you want about him not flashing that first kill, but he still has it if he needs it. Once again, we're see level 6 being hit by both top laners. Jenkins can use an R back to make sure he gets a wave crashed under tower. Gonna get a nice reset for himself. Maybe get back onto the map to help Keel out with the grubs.
Yeah, and again, the vision has been pretty good from the side of TLC. They know where Kizno is throughout most of this early game, and it's going to give that perfect opportunity, as you said, especially with the back canceled by Spawn. Means Keel should have a really easy time getting all 3 grubs, and because this is Rockboom and Flux's first back, there's no opportunity for LiT to take the dragon in exchange.
Yeah, that's a big play. Coming through for Team Liquid. Kizno just getting back to base, and again, as you said, with Spawn and Kim down pushing the wave out. No attempt at the dragon. Instead, it will just be all 3 going over to TL. And I mean, kind of expected because the early game, especially around mid lane, has been going well for TLC, but you gotta hope LiT eventually make some sort of effort to push back.
I just realized, Messages has a tier in his inventory. I'm not sure. Oh, I may need to hold that. Okay, it's fine. I'm wondering if he is building towards the mana immune, or if he's just doing it so that he can spam his spells in lane. Really curious to see how that one's gonna pan out. It's not very popular from what I've seen. You really want to build items that have a lot of haste, but maybe Messages is cooking something.
Yeah, last time we saw him play this champion, that was when like the Essence Reaver build was still really popular. More recently, we've seen the more bruiser-oriented style with AP
so good,
items
yeah.
like Shojin and then into the Liandries. So It's still hard to tell right now, but yeah, it looks like components for Manimmune. Messages kind of going off the beaten path in terms of this build. It'll be interesting to see how it ends up finishing out.
And also, I want to say I like that we've seen these constant looks from Kim down in the mid lane. You can see the vision around the Raptors that he's gotten for the side of TLC as well, but he's also just looking for these opportunities, kind of like we highlighted in draft, to impact this mid lane, set messages further behind, make it easier for Roamer to roam.
I mean, living up to his name right now on the Talia. It's a champ that loves doing that, and we'll see if he ends up roaming down to this dragon, as LiT are the ones to start it up. They do have Keel around the area as well. The laser from Spawn doesn't catch him out. Instead, it looks like Keel might be in trouble. Here comes the Magnet Storm from Kizno. Keel's forced to flash over the wall. The final proc of the Winter's Bite will not be enough to finish that stun off. So LiT now have an HP advantage, and they burn Keel's flash.
Yeah, but it's worth it, though. Kizno and Rockboom both use their ults, and Keel's got most of his health, so you actually got to walk this one out, and that should be TLC having that first crack. Oh,
whoa.
Hold on. What did I miss here?
That just somehow got Roamer low enough that when the mom came out, forced the flash. I'm not super familiar with Smolder hitboxes. I haven't played a ton of games against it, but I feel like Roamer might have been safe without using that summoner. I could be wrong though.
Maybe you don't want to take a chance.
That's fair.
Give the kill away. Kind of like what we were saying with messages at the first blood, right?
Yeah.
Roamer, he doesn't take chances, and I think that is something to be appreciated. Okay, we are going to see the replay. Oh, he just got him low.
Yeah, it's close enough that I think the flash.
I think that
was
would have hit.
necessary.
Yeah.
Pretty good. I mean, Messages is still down a few waves, but able to get a reset off here, and now we can see a little bit more what he's going to buy.
Yeah, actually kind of holding off until. Okay, yeah, it's the cut. Okay, I think he's probably just building standard and is just holding on to the tier. But overall, the game has been a lot slower than I expected to be, especially given the stakes for both of these teams. So I think things being slow are perfectly fine for LiT. Messages is farming up his stack slowly, getting towards that 225 mark. You have Rockboom as well, who we talked about, is a really good team fighter, is playing this on-hit Varus, so is going to have a lot of opportunities for his team to make space for him and just output as much DPS as possible. Oh, here comes Roamer.
Little engage down here. Roamer thought about coming down with the Weaver's Wall, but instead just going to be a trade of health bars of the supports. Kizno also in the area. We still have not seen that first dragon actually getting taken down yet. We have Rockboom and Plux both with their ultimates coming up, but nice job by TLC's bottom lane and Keel to make sure that they are safe with that ward placed in the little pixel brush.
Oh, messages.
In trouble here.
Okay,
maybe,
no, he's fine.
Maybe not. I feel like with Kizno in the area, TLC might have been a little bit scared of going in for something, but things definitely seem tense 11 minutes in. There's only one kill, but there's so many little map movements that are causing each player to make drastically different choices in terms of how they're playing this game.
Yeah, it feels like both teams are really feeling the pressure. It is their last match of the regular split, and even if it doesn't decide concretely who's going to be top in that top 8, who's going to make it into playoffs, it still has a big influence. Teams playing it slow, not taking unnecessary risks.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. Both teams will be playing more League of Legends after this regular season ends, after this game ends. They're just competing for which games of League of Legends they want to play.
Yeah.
Do they want to play in the playoffs, or they want to play in the promotion tournament happening
to fight for your spot back.
Yeah, exactly. And for LiT specifically, making the run out of the promotion tournament into the NACL, it would kind of suck to have to go back there again, and being able to prove yourself, that's something that Maryville was able to do after they promoted going into the summer split, and we'll see if LiT is able to do the same here.
Yeah, now we're seeing the trade come through. The first dragon finally comes out at 12 minutes there for TLC. That delayed Dragon Soul, honestly, is something you're really happy about if you're LiT Esports. Because, you want the game to go 20, 30 minutes because of the comp that you've drafted. And it gives you an opportunity to grab the next spawn of grubs. So now TLC don't have this option to go for the 5 or 6 and actually get the Void Mites that come from it.
Yeah, the Twitch chatter, that's what Joshi calls him, right? You gotta make sure that...
I don't vibe with that. I'm gonna be real. Josh can have that.
I heard on the broadcast yesterday, so now I'm just making sure I'm up to date with all the lore. Okay, we're gonna call them just the Void Mites today then. And
okay,
good thing we don't have to talk about them very much because neither team...
We're not gonna see them, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, things super slow. Dragoon, he has the Dominus about to come back up. Jenkins is exhausted. Is he going to do it?
Oh,
no?
Jenkins doing a nice job with that phage to kite out. Make sure that Dragoon unable to hit him while actually forcing a reset. That might be a teleport actually burned by Dragoon as well. You see Keel also making his way around the top side, and looks like Dragoon's going to have to be pretty careful here.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye topside. That's a good ward placed by Dragoon. Knows that a dive is very much in his future, and he may need to just flash.
Pops the Dominus already. Luckily for him, Kisno is here, finds the stun onto Keel, and the crash down actually, plus the Magnus Storm, will be able to help TLC escape. LiT, unfortunately unable to get anything just yet. The Mom comes out. Keel now stuck in the Rift Herald pit, will be forced to flash away. Now Roamer also has to burn a flash by himself as Plux comes in for an engage. That's a lot of summoners that LiT are going to be pretty happy about burning.
Yeah, that ends up being a nice response. I mean, that's been Kisno's whole job in this early game. Just trying to keep the game slow, trying to respond to whatever Keel is looking to do. And I mean, recognizing that dive was possible and him and Plux moving up was so important because you're keeping the game, I won't say even, but being down 1,500 gold at this state, it's not a big deal. Especially if you're Kisno, you're opting for the cheaper first item with the Knight's Vow. Means that you already still have an item spike to play with.
Dragoon getting antsy with Jenkins once again. They already burned the Gnar. No dominance this time for Dragoon, but Kisno once again back here. Dragoon very low on HP, but Kisno and LiT want to make this play work. They're already burned Jenkins' flash. Here comes messages as well. Jenkins now exhausted, but will be able to get away after flashing out.
Yeah, that gives you a little bit of extra space. You don't have the opportunity to actually start the Rift Herald, but at least you get the flash out of Jenkins. Maybe you can play for it after respawn. I'm curious to see if Flux and Rockboom can actually defend this red buff.
Yeah, first turret of the game. Going over to Spawn and Kim after. Of course, that play did not result in a kill up top for LiT. So pretty good trade once again for TLC. Getting Spawn up and ready with a lot of items is also very important. I mean, I feel like with Smolder, all the Penta conversations that we've been having with him, you're forgetting that Zeri's also a champion that could do just the same thing.
Sure, but you're going to be pretty reliant on your ult there because other than that, your range, you are pretty much outranged by the side of LiT. Oh, I need to hold that thought.
Yeah. Looks like LiT's going to be pushed off of the Rift Herald for now. Teleport coming in from Jenkins, who is approaching Mega Gnar, so in a good position to allow for TLC to actually take control of this objective. And it looks like LiT not very motivated to fight with their AD carry still in base and without much resources to spare. They will be Team Liquid Challengers picking up this Rift Herald, see where they send it.
This is another objective going over to Team Liquid Challengers. They're going to be, with that bottom turret down, that first brick, they've gotten themselves up to 2,500 gold ahead of LiT Esports. Now they have the opportunity as well, if the play presents itself, to knock down that mid-tier 1, which is where I'm expecting this Rift Herald to drop in these next couple of minutes. So now, TLC, you're seeing them slowly start to build this lead, and that is kind of a issue with picking Smolder in that mid lane. I mean, mid is so important in how you impact other objectives in that early to mid game, and because messages, even with that Shojin coming out now, there isn't a whole lot for him to do, Grapes. There isn't a lot of power he has versus something like a Taliyah Wukong. You don't win out on the skirmishes. You don't offer any real meaningful damage in even numbers until you get that second item, until you hit those stacks.
And we did see recently when we tagged back down towards messages, we're sitting around 150 stacks. So getting there, but not there just yet. We're going to have to wait a couple more minutes. And as you mentioned earlier, it's good for LiT that Team Liquid have only taken one Drake. Because if they're forced to fight for that soul, at 22 minutes instead of now potentially later on, definitely a pretty good situation for them.
Yeah, and right now, at the very least, TLC will be able to get halfway to that soul. But yeah, it's as you say, it'll be 27 minutes, at the very least. Oh, and now they're going to take this chance. Jenkins is about to get Mega. I don't know if I like this, Grapes.
It's a play that LiT feel like they might have to do.
No,
because they made a play. TL made a play on the bot side. LiT's like, okay, guys, we got to do something top lane. But Jenkins timing the rage really nicely, making sure that he's Mega right as the wave crashes in. And Kisno and Plux are not nearly enough damage to try and take that guy down.
Yeah, and LiT just kind of walking around the map right now, trying to figure out what their next move is. You can see they got a nice bit of vision on that top side, but there really isn't anything to play for at the moment. It's just Kisno trying to force this play again.
Yep, Jenkins still doesn't have flash. Dragoon kind of able to pop the dominance. Jenkins still exhausted, but doing a nice job kiting away. Teleport comes in from Roamer. Kim on the way as well. See if Dragoon's going to be forced to flash away. He is, with the dominance still intact. So a nice response by Team Liquid Challengers to make sure that their top laner does not fall.
And this is, I think things are starting to crumble for the side of LiT Esports just a little bit, because now you leave this opportunity for this mid-tier 1 to go down as well, and this gold lead just continues to grow. Unless a play happens right here, TLC are just taking things over and over again for free, and this gold lead continues to grow.
Yeah, we mentioned a couple minutes ago, I think Beat you specifically said, like, hey, if the lead's at like 1,500, we're chilling.
Yeah, who cares, right?
The lead has suddenly gone up to 3,700. This is
now
a
we
point
care.
where we start to care a little bit. Specifically, the big carries for Team Liquid Challengers, right? Roamer and Spawn. These are the ones that are going to be doing a lot of damage in the upcoming team fights, maybe even for an eventual Mountain Soul. They're the ones with significant leads at the moment.
Yeah, right, and you can see messages. He's just trying to collect waves wherever he can. Maybe we can see what the stack count is at right now. There it is, okay. 182. And now he has that Shojin completed. That's already a lot of haste. So it does tell me that we're likely going to see the completion of that next threshold in these next couple of minutes. And then maybe we can see that turnaround come through from LiT. But it's getting pretty hard because we're already at 2 items for somebody like Spawn.
Yeah, you can see Kisno just trying to continue to make plays and just not having enough oomph right now to allow for them to be finished off. Keel was just able to W out, and we see Kisno, a player that, of course, we were talking about as being somebody who's grown a lot, trying to find angles, trying to find opportunities to help out his team, but right now, just in this current game state, there aren't many to find.
No, it's tough too, because you're looking at mid and bot. You highlighted it great. Roamer and Spawn, big damage dealers on this squad. They've already both hit 2 items. So they're in a really good spot right now when it comes to fighting for some of these objectives. And unless you hit a second item as Rock Boom, as messages going into that that third Drake in 2 minutes time, I think that's just another objective you're going to have to let go of in hopes that you can weather the storm long enough for messages to get to that big stack threshold.
Oh, looks like they might have found Plux. Pops the Unbreakable for now. Keel gonna dash forward. It looks like he will be safe as he stands beside his mid laner messages. But now Team Liquid Challengers have another opportunity to break open their 3rd tower. All outer turrets are now gone, and they're gonna pop the Rift Herald as well. Maybe getting a charge onto this tier 2.
Dragoon does have Dominus, does have Teleport.
Uh-oh. No way.
No, it's fine.
No way we're doing
Oh, surely
Roamer.
that was on... Surely that was that on purpose? I feel
Okay,
like...
well, here's the thing. As soon as Roamer got into the Rift Herald, he knew he screwed up, because there's no way that he's ever, like, charging all the way in with the current situation. Like, he would have just died, probably, but...
Yeah.
It is a little unfortunate that it just ends up getting wasted.
No, so yeah, you give away some gold, some free gold and free XP, but I think ultimately that doesn't really change much of the situation. TLC are still in a pretty good position, and what's really going to tell us how the rest of this game might go is this next Drake. We're a minute away. You can see, again, we're not quite at those 2 items for people like Messages and Rock Boom. We haven't hit the 225 stacks for Smolder. So if this Mountain Soul point comes through, that Mountain Soul point comes through for free while TLC has a lead like this. They have a real opportunity to end this game with the Mountain Soul. A little later than Souls usually come through, but still.
Yeah, and even if LiT are finally at full force for that fight, if they're at full force and like down 5,000 gold, it's still a situation where Team Liquid Challengers probably win and eventually do claim the Mountain Soul. So maybe LiT feel the need to actually go for a fight around this 3rd dragon instead of the 4th. You see them positioning aggressively. The dragon still hasn't spawned and will not for about 30 seconds, but right now it's LiT controlling the pit.
And they're just dropping a pretty big wave on that bottom side. Kisno is in a little bit of trouble at the moment. It's just going to be that fight to try and get the first look after pushing in mid lane, but this is kind of tough.
Yeah, they found Kisno here with a seismic shove. He finds the stun only onto the clone of Keel, already chunked out low before the fight even begins. There's the depth charge in. Kisno has to crash down away, and Mom is just used as a peeling tool already. Jenkins gonna jump in, find a 3-man Gnar, and his Keel over the top to find the first kill of the fight. Dragoon has a dominance pop, but he gets deleted by Spawn and the rest of TLC. They've gone 2 for nothing and about to claim their 3rd Drake of the game.
Almost 20 minutes later, we finally get our 2nd and 3rd kill, and it's TLC solidifying their lead even further. Now they're going to get that Mountain Soul point. They have so much gold to cash in on as well. And we got to see this one again. This is after Kizno gets caught. But that's the big deal here, guys. He lost most of his health. He's not able to contribute in any way. And because hitting the ward revealed the members of LiT Esports, Jenkins had the perfect opportunity for the Mega Gnar to come through. And at this point, there was just no way you were walking away.
Yeah, and now, not only did LiT give away the third dragon, they also lost 2 members. Thankfully, we finally have our Smolder getting the 225 stacks, being able to get that execute, recalling, picking up the Essence Reaver. So we're getting a little bit of both worlds here, Beat. Some of the Bruiser build, some of the Marksman build. Interesting to see these players experiment on the newest champion to be added to Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, the Essence Reaver is especially interesting because I feel like auto-attacking this game of Smolder is going to be kind of hard. I feel like you're going to be relying on your spells a lot more than that, but we'll see how he's able to make it happen. He did reach the stack threshold. He's at 235 right now. Problem is, his team is down almost 6,000 gold grapes. So, I don't think Smolder's that good, guys.
The last time we saw Messages play the Smolder, LiT were in a very similar position, if not worse. I think Aaron was like 9-1 that game against Wildcard. So the past experience still could mean that LiT have an angle, but you see here they keep trying to find engages and not ending up working out.
Yeah, so the angle for me is TLC's comp is a lot about the engage from Kim Down and Keel. If LiT can survive that and Messages can come out of it mostly intact and able to continue tossing out spells, that's pretty much the way it's going to happen for the side of LiT Esports, because it is a lot of damage at this point, and it only gets better here for Messages. It's just going to be about whether or not you can actually make space for this late game hyper carry.
And something I do like about solo lane Smolders, if you're able to make them work, is now Messages low 15. He's not 13 like Rockbeam is, 13 like Spawn is. He's able to dish out a pretty decent chunk of DPS, and LiT are going to try their hand at actually starting up the Baron despite being down 5,500 gold. They have Jenkins pushing on the bottom side. He's likely to get a lot of damage onto this 2-2 turret, and just 4 members of TLC were enough to push him away.
I really want to shout out Jenkins for actually staying. It was a very clear teleport bait from LiT Esports, but it was too dangerous for them to actually commit. And Jenkins knows that. He walks part way, probably gets the call that this isn't going to work for them, so he just stays bot lane and gets a tier 2 turret. Just even more gold into TLC's back pocket. And remember, LiT falling to pieces here in this game 1. This series is so important for them. To be able to win this out would guarantee them top 8.
Here's an engage. The Weaver's Wall comes out. LiT are now cut off. They decide to go right towards Jenkins. Kizno flashes forward. There's the first kill for LiT. Now Dragoon's on the flank. Full Fury Bar as well as Anomalous being popped. He's alone for now. Heals up nicely. Has a shield from Pluck to stay alive. And LiT are going to turn this around. That's the second kill. The first for Messages, but Spawn's here to clean things up. He's got a double kill, looking to make more with the Lightning Crash already used. And it's TL that end up coming back and making this a 2-for-2.
I mean, a 2-for-2, despite the gold deficit, is pretty insane. It was a nice catch out there onto Jenkins, who was a little bit overextended. Still, the gold lead is pretty insane, but that's pretty much a good example of what LiT are kind of hoping for here. Messages. Watch him in this fight. You catch Jenkins, whose Mega Gnar just expired, and look at the Smolder. He's just throwing out whatever damage he can, sneezing on them, throwing things at them, and you just want him to get as much of that percent health burn onto as many targets as possible, even flashing to reposition to also get damage down onto Spawn. It makes a lot of sense here, but unfortunately, Spawn and Roamer, they still do a lot of damage, especially with that death cap being finished for Roamer.
Yeah, after they got those 2 kills, LiT were completely out of juice. All their carries were low on health, and that was just the perfect situation for Spawn to clean up a double. With the Quick Blades picked up, he is now officially probably the strongest champion in the game. I mean, you could argue for Messages right now, but your Spawn has a ton of gold, a ton of items, and definitely is a frightening one here with that 4th dragon spawning in just 45 seconds.
That's right. TLC need this Drake to solidify their power in this game. It could be the Baron call again, but at the very least, it is LiT clearing out Vision topside in hopes that TLC can't sack this 4th Drake and go for the Baron instead, as that will give them a lot of power as well to try and close this game.
Flux getting chunked pretty low. It's about half HP. Isn't it looking a little bit around, but nothing too aggressive just yet. Roamer doing a nice job to poke Kizno, bring him to about 60% HP. Every point matters here with LiT being still so far behind. The dragon spawns. I think this might get a little bit dicey. Rockman and Kizno already separated from the rest of their team with the Weaver's Wall, and TLC continuing to throw everything at them, just waiting for the perfect moment to fire the trigger.
Remember, for LiT Esports, eyes on Messages and Rock Boom. If they can weather the engage of Keel and Kim down,
Jenkins.
LiT maybe have a chance. Jenkins has the flank, as you say. He's about to go Mega.
Yeah, Dragons at 8,000. They gotta go quick. Already a 3-man Cyclone from Keel. Crashdown comes up, and it's Team Liquid Challengers running away with the fight. A nice Gnar into Rockboom to shut him down. And the Smolder's strong, but not strong enough. It is a 5-for-1 ace, and Team Liquid don't even care about the soul. They're marching straight down bottom.
They have a wave. There's no turrets outside of the base to stop them. It's looking like that's just going to be it. Game 1 is done and dusted, Grapes. And TLC, they managed to win it out before Messages could really start to come online.
It was a good attempt by LiT to stay in the game, but it's Team Liquid Challengers with the superb team fighting. 100% kill participation from Roamer on this Talia. They're going to look for one more on the Plux as he comes back from the Death Chamber, but it doesn't look like they need it to end this game. It's Team Liquid taking game 1.
And Team Liquid taking that first step to almost solidifying their top 8 standing here. If they get the 2-0, that would be really huge for them going forward. And the fact is, like we said, if LiT lose, they're going to be the ones in that bottom 2 graves. So all TL needs to do to secure themselves is win the next game.
Yeah, just win one more and they have secured their spot. And again for LiT, it is now officially do or die. If they do not clean up their play, make their way towards a reverse sweep, they'll be back in the promotion tournament for the second straight split. We're going to throw to a break before we head into game 2, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some more LCS Challengers League.
They said it couldn't be done. They said the world would never accept a cookie this long. Or a churro, and probably not a pretzel either. They also said, under no circumstances should those really long and delicious treats be wildly affordable. To which we said, but we already made them. And they are. Introducing the incredible new foot-long sidekicks. Get one at Subway today.
With the spring regular season nearing its end, we gotta talk most valuable prospect. And there's one player who has been a nightmare for his lane opponents, Scary Jerry. Now, this isn't 2023 Scary Jerry. The man has been constantly working his butt off to improve, and it shows massively in the stats. As of week 6, Scary Jerry currently leads the charts with a threatening 9.4 KDA. Him and Zyko put relentless pressure in the bot lane, so much so that Scary Jerry takes first blood in nearly half of his games. He's top of the board when it comes to average kills per game at 6.5, and he also averages the least deaths in the league. The kid has a lot to flex about, and he continues to flex on picks such as Varus, Lucian, and even a pocket Draven. If you want bot lane brutality, keep an eye on Scary Jerry.
Quad has been a beast this split, and for me it's been all about aggression. It starts in the waning phase, where he's leading all mids in CS differential at 15 and experience differential at 15. Transitioning that to team fights, he's leading the league in DPM. Quad is picking high damage champions, and he's playing forward, looking to be a playmaker. And as someone whose time in Korea was ruled by the narrative that he wasn't able to transition his scrim performance to the stage, we've seen nothing but Quad performing on stage this split, and that's why he's one of our frontrunners for most valuable prospect.
My early MVP nod for Spring Split is none other than Maryville University's jungler, UG. Not only has he exhibited an ability to execute high-level mechanics in tense situations, he is also exceptional at marking targets in fights and understanding what his role in said fights is. Couple that with his tenacious focus on getting his bot lane ahead, and UG has been a terror for NACL junglers to contain. Also, in case you're behind on the lore, he hails from Mongolia, and while living there, he hit challengers on the Chinese, Korean, and EU servers, before coming to NA and doing the same here, making him one of the only players ever to hit challenger in all 4 major servers.
Lastly, we have a bit of a dark horse candidate. There were a lot of questions around how well Shochi would perform on another team where he wasn't getting the same level of resources, because we've seen what he can do when he's allowed to be the star of the show. He gets kills and makes plays like no one's business. But this split, Shochi has nonetheless made great strides in terms of finding opportunities to play more different styles than he's used to, and he's played more games on Talia, Orianna, and Karma this split than any of his traditional carries. Yet, he's still finding moments to shine and constantly still looking for plays. If he can continue this style of growth where we know he can be a strong carry and is able to take a back seat, he will be able to find success on any LCS team in the future. Who do you think deserves to be Spring 2024's most valuable prospect? Let us know in Twitch chat and hit us up on Twitter at Path to LCS.